Hello everybody, it is Carly, back once again, and today I'm going to do something a little bit different. As you guys know, if you've been following my channel, I do random movie reviews sometimes, as well as random book reviews, and I decided that this year I wanted to make a goal to start reading more and attempt to read a book a month at least. Doing pretty good so far. We're into March and I'm almost done with book number 4, so I'm ahead of the game, yay. But anyway, a book that I picked up probably a year ago or so, I don't even remember, but at like a Goodwill, Salvation Army, something like that, was actually Summer of Fear by Lois Duncan. Now, Summer of Fear is a it's a horror story, horror thriller story. It's a witch story, so yeah, it is a horror story, and this author actually wrote I Know What You Did Last Summer as well, which I hadn't realized was even based off a book until I had picked this up. So I'm curious to read that one too. But I read this, like I said, got it at Goodwill. It's in kind of crappy-ish condition. There's like some tape on pages where you could tell someone probably read this a few times, which is fine. But I wanted to compare this to the movie Summer of Fear from 1978, which was directed by Wes Craven. I believe it's also called Stranger in Our House is the alternative name. And yeah, it's a TV movie, PG-13, starring Linda Blair. And I watched it the other day. I finished the book about a week or so ago at this point, and then I watched the movie several days after finishing it, and figured it'd be cool to compare the two. And they're actually quite similar, like very much so. Like it's one of those things where the movie very much is like a true adaptation of the book. It takes like direct lines and stuff. It's kind of scene by scene even. So it was kind of cool and interesting to, watch this right after. Because I've seen this movie once before when I first got this Blu-ray. I think JP gave this to me for Christmas or my birthday or something like that. And thought it was cool. I don't think I knew this was even based off a book really, and then picked up the book years later, so, it was cool to go back and revisit this, but basically the story, I'm not going to keep holding these both up, but the storyline is there's this girl, Rachel. She lives with her parents as well as her 2 brothers, one older brother, one younger brother, and at the beginning of the story, the parents find out that there's been an accident and Rachel's aunt and uncle were killed in a very bad car wreck where their car went up in flames and over a cliff and all this crazy stuff. And their housekeeper, I think, governess, whatever you want to call it, like someone who helped out around the house, was also in the car and died. And they left behind their 17-year-old daughter named Julia, and they live kind of in the middle of nowhere, and Julia has no other family. So, obviously, Rachel's parents are like, well, we have to kind of, take her in and have her stay with us for a while or, forever until she becomes old enough to be on her own. She's 17, like I said, and she, stayed at boarding school for the majority of her time living with her actual parents, too, so, she wasn't always around, and the family basically didn't really talk too much. Like, they were close, but they didn't get together. Like, it had been, I think it said, 10 years since they'd gotten together as a family, and they never really sent any pictures, so no one even knew really what Julia looked like at this point, besides reference from when she was younger. So, they take her in, and everything's okay at first, but then, Julia just kind of starts really fitting in well with the family, and as well as Rachel's friends and boyfriend and all that, and Rachel, starts getting a little upset because it's not even jealousy, it's just that it seems weird, every single thing Julia does is perfect, and then weird happenings start to go on all of a sudden, weird tragedies and stuff like that. So that, that's basically the story. It kind of goes from there, and Rachel starts to suspect that Julia is not who she seems to be, and might have some, supernatural, witchy type stuff going on somewhere in there. So yeah, I really enjoyed the book. I read it actually pretty quickly. It's not a very long book. It's 207 pages, so quick read. It's a chapter book. And it was written, does it say when books are written? Shows you how much I read. I'm thinking this was like obviously it had to have been like early 70s, something like that, because the movie came out in 78, and it feels that way. I really enjoyed it because it just felt like simple 70s teenage stuff. Like there's a lot of writing in there where she's talking about Rachel's talking about being bored, not knowing what to do with herself, so she reads like National Geographics that are her dad's. There's dinner conversations where everyone actually sits around the table and has dinner and talks about their day, like school, work, or neighborhood stuff. And it's just feels very simple, small town, before technology, basically. And I like reading stuff like that because it makes me nostalgic for a time period I did not live in, if that makes sense. So overall, I really like the book. I think it wraps up a little abruptly, maybe, but I kind of think it's fitting for the story. It's a bit eerie. So yeah, it was a good book. I recommend it if you like horror books. I think this is definitely more of a girl type book. I could see women being more into this than men, but because teenage girls are kind of the main focus here. But anyway, then looking at the movie, like I said, the movie was very similar to the book. It kind of directly follows it for the most part. I think the biggest difference really is sort of kind of the ending is a little bit different, but even then it's not completely different, if that makes sense. It kind of feels like more like a movie ending where, like I said, the book kind of wraps up more abruptly and such with how it does it, but I think it makes sense for the movie the way this ends. And then another thing is, in the book, there is a dog. The character of Rachel has a pet dog that is, just like kind of her pet, not really her brother's or anything. It was like a gift for her, I think for Christmas or her birthday or something. And, spoiler alert, but basically the dog ends up not really liking Julia right off the bat, and then biting her and stuff like that goes from there. Where in the movie, and I remembered this from the movie and reading the book, I was like, this isn't even in here. So it's interesting, but it's actually a horse. She has a pet horse. In the book, the dog's name is Trickle. In the movie, the horse, what was the name? I completely forget the name, but but she has a horse. You can see it on the back there. And that's kind of her thing. They have like a ranch, and she, does like horse, not races, but competition. I'm not a horse girl, never have been. So I thought that was kind of interesting that they, instead of a little dog, it's like this big ass horse, and that kind of. So I always remembered this movie as being like, oh, it's set on a ranch, and it's like horses are a big thing in it, but really they're not. It's kind of like the first half has this horse and kind of goes from there. But anyway, those are kind of like the two major differences. One thing that's like funny, and again, like I remembered it from watching the movie a while back and being like freaked out by it, but like in the book, Julia comes, like I said, there's two brothers. One is 17, one is 11. The 17-year-old, I think his name was Peter, he develops a crush on Julia, and they are first cousins. And it actually, like, I'm like reading it and it's all playing out naturally, and I'm like, are they gonna like address that this is weird and would be like incestuous? And there's like one line in the book, because he like wants to take her to the dance and stuff, and everyone in the family's kind of like thinking like, oh, it's so cute, he has a crush on his cousin, ha ha ha, like it's like cool and everything. And there's like one line where he's talking to his sister and he's just like, first cousins, they're not that's not a big deal, right? They're not that close. And she's kind of like, well, I mean, marrying them is illegal in a lot of states. And he's like, oh, who said anything about marriage? And it's just like this like, ha ha ha, jovial thing. And I don't know if, no offense, I don't know if that was like just normal in the 70s or something like that. I mean, I know it was kind of I know like siblings obviously is a big thing, but cousins, like, getting together wasn't as weird, or it was more common rather, back in the day, but yeah, I don't know, thought that was weird, and they do the same thing in here, in the movie that is addressed, like I said, and I'm like, same thing when I was watching the movie originally, I was like, they're not even, I was like, are they like third cousins? That might be a little bit better, but they're like first cousins, and that just, the thought of that like grosses me out, but anyway, different times, I guess. But yeah, overall, this is a TV movie too, and I think this is definitely the type of story that fits with a TV movie. Like, there's nothing major cut out, or that would have to even be cut out. There's no like nudity scenes or anything in the book, or graphic language or images or anything. So I think this works perfect for a TV movie. Linda Blair does a good job as the character of Rachel, and girl who plays her cousin is Lee Purcell. I'm not too familiar with her, but she does good as well. Everyone does a good job of portraying these characters like you would kind of expect them to be portrayed. I do like, it's very frustrating reading the book because the parents are constantly annoyed at Rachel for her, jealous attitude and stuff like that, and I always hate that when people don't believe a character, which I know it's a big thing in the plot, but it just like, it drives me crazy, but in a good way. That means like the book is effective. But in the movie, I feel like the parents are a little more caring and a little more understanding almost. Not so much the dad, more so the mom. You kind of get vibes that she kind of feels a little off about what's going on in the house in the movie as compared to the book, where like no one's really on Rachel's side. So kind of like that a little bit better in the movie. They kind of make it more so like the dad, Julia's like very much flirting with the dad. That turns out to be a big thing, like reveal at the end as to like her intentions and such, and they definitely hype that up a little bit more in the movie, which I think also works pretty well. So yeah, and like I said, the movie ends a little bit different, but then it's like there's like a last final clip at the end that is that kind of almost ties it back to the book in a way, but not really. The book is definitely a little bit more ambiguous as to what happens, and I think that is better in the book. I think it plays out creepier and more eerie as to not really know like what happened at the end exactly. It could be, whatever, anything. So yeah, overall, good story. It's just a good story, book and movie, and I think both work well. I think, definitely read the book, watch the movie. I think it's a solid adaptation of the book, and it is what it is. It's not like you have to remake this or anything. I think it's perfect the way it is, and like I said, works very well for just a nice little witchy TV movie. So yeah, definitely recommend both of these. And I think that'll do it. That's about all I have to really say about them. But yeah, I'm going to continue trying to make videos like this as I read books that are based off of read books that then have a movie based off of the book is what I'm trying, you know what I'm saying. But I'm gonna keep doing that. I did buy Psycho the other day at Barnes & Noble, which I'm excited about. I'm gonna start reading that one. That one's pretty short as well, only like about 200 some pages, and I've always wanted to check that one out. I have a few other Stephen King adaptations lying around that I need to get to, and The Exorcist, actually, just speaking of Linda Blair, I just bought the Exorcist book as well, so yeah, I'll definitely read that and tie that in to the movie, or do a comparison on that down the line. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed this, and I will talk to you in the next video.